The power of a Paradox can be a very powerful thing, but the power of Paradox deck, we're going to see if that's very powerful today. So in this video we'll be going over the Paradox Power deck from the Doctor Who set. This is the final out of the 4 and I've really enjoyed making these. But as you probably know, I'll be going through majority of the deck, giving my thoughts and my opinions on it, showing what I think the best cards are, and then an overall review of the entire deck. So let's start this off with the commander, and the commander being the 13th Doctor. For 1 green and a blue you get a legendary creature, Time Lord Doctor, that is a mythic. Paradox. Whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. Team TARDIS. At the beginning of your end step, untap each creature you control with a counter on it, and she's a 2/2. This is what I call a enchantment commander, with a really unique ability of giving things +1/+1 if you don't play it from your hand, which is quite hard to do, but not necessarily very difficult. But the best part of this card is the second ability, which gets to give pseudo vigilance pretty much to all your creatures. Now, when it comes to this deck, I think the commander is very good. I think there is a very unique way to play it. However, I do think if you're focusing on the first half, it's not really that good. I think the best way to play this is literally just making a 1/1 Simic counter deck, having it as your commander, and pretty much giving all your creatures pseudo vigilance. But with every commander there is a sub-commander, and the sub-commander is Yasmin Han. For 3 and a red you get a legendary creature, Human Detective, that is a rare. Tap, exile the top card of your library. Until your next end step you may play it, Doctor's Companion, and she's a 3/3. Now again, I am not the biggest fan of this card. For 4 mana you get a mech creature with an ability that you can only use on the next turn, which pretty much gives you an additional card that you either have to play that turn or scrap it. I've never been really a big fan of cards that exile stuff until end of turn and let you play them, because it usually ends up with you need a lot of mana to be able to do that. Now yes, I can see how helpful and how good them abilities are. It's just one thing I've never really gotten or delved into. So let's dive into the deck itself. When it comes to this deck, there is a total of 25 creatures. There is also a few Doctors and well-known cards such as River Song, the 12th Doctor, the Fugitive Doctor. But one thing I really like about these decks is if you find a commander you enjoy, there is a lot of sub-commanders or companions, and there's a fair few companions in this deck, such as Nardole Resourceful Cyborg, Bill Potts, Dan Lewis, Ryan Sinclair, Clara Oswald, Graham O'Brien, and then also with all these decks there's rather creatures that are well known or quite powerful, and there's actually quite a few of them in this deck. Cards such as Danny Pink, Osgood Operation Double, Flaming Tyrannosaurus, Carvansteer, Loyal Lupari, the Foretold Soldier, Madame Vrastra, Jenny Flint, Strax Sontara Nurse, Me the Immortal, Lunar Hatchling. Now let's go on to the sorceries of this deck. Now when it comes to the sorceries, there is a total of 14, which is quite a large amount. I say a lot of them are quite okay or quite good, and you can see why they're put into this deck, but there is 4 that I want to show you, and them 4 are Twice Upon a Time, Quantum Misalignment, Into the Time Vortex, Impending Flux, and you can't really have sorceries without instances, so in this deck there's a total of 7 instances. However, there's only 3 I really want to talk about, and those 3 are Flatline, Surge of Brilliance, Decaying Time Loop, and then enchantments. I'm not sure if this is one of those things that I just really love enchantments, so I usually focus on this when it comes to decks. But in this deck there is 7 enchantments in total, but 5 I would like to talk about, and those 5 are Become the Pilot, Return the Past, The Flux, Fugitive of the Judoon, Heaven Sent. But now the artifacts. When it comes to artifacts, most of these are mana rocks like usual to make sense, and I don't really like going through them in every single video, but of course you always get your Sol Ring and Arcane Signet. But in this deck there is a total of 10 artifacts, but I'll only be going over 6, and those 6 are Confession Dial, Cursed Mirror, Psychic Paper, TARDIS, Sonic Screwdriver, River Song's Diary, but you cannot play all these wonderful cards without lands. In this deck there is a grand total of 36 lands, which I think is the least out of all of them. I think the rest have 37, which then again, I know isn't much more, but the fact that this has the least amount of lands is kind of weird to me. But as always, I'll be showing the lands that I personally find interesting. They seem to have kind of roughly the same land base in all of them, which is good, but I don't like that they up the price for it, but that's again just me. So here are the amazing lands on screen now. Cinderglade, Dreamroot Cascade, Frostboil Snarl, Game Trail, Reliquary Tower, Rockfall Vale, Rogue's Passage, Storm Cavern Coast, Vine Glimmer Snarl, Rootbound Crag. Now when it comes to this deck overall, it is personally my least favourite. To be honest, I'm not a big fan of really Simic decks. I have one Simic deck and I know how powerful they can be, but the fact that this ability is only half good when it comes to the commander, the sub-commander is not good. Again, you can replace both of them and still make a really good deck. The best part of this deck, in my honest god opinion, is the Pseudo Vigilance, where anything with a form of counter on it gets untapped. This is really good for indestructible counters or any other form of counters you want to put on. But as a Doctor Who fan, and a quite big Doctor Who fan, I'm actually interested in still getting all of them, but that's mainly because of the collector part of me is like, get them, Doctor Who. But personally, out of all of them, this one is my least favourite. But I'm actually interested in what people think when it comes to this. I'm actually tempted to do a kind of graded favourite to least favourite and why. Let me know if you're interested in that video in the comments down below. While you're there, remember to like, subscribe and follow me on all my social media. And as always, I have the previous Doctor Who deck here, a playlist of Is It Worth It here, and a subscribe button here, which I think you should all hit. Next we're going to be going on to the dinosaur set, which I'm super excited for. And I will see you all in the next video.